Notre Dame, Ohio State, Oregon, Brandon. It's college football season, and we're back, baby.
Football's back.
Syndicate is back.
Yes.
Football. Yeah, sorry, I was banging my desk. They have cameras vibrating and everything. It's exciting.
One more week.
One more week.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Are we on week 0?
Yeah, next Saturday, right? Yeah, next Saturday's week 0.
Can't wait. Oh,
so
I'm so fired up.
It's going to be the best.
It's going to be awesome.
Even when it's 100 degrees outside, I can still feel it coming.
It's actually here in St. Louis, and I know all you across the nation, got different weather, but in St. Louis, it's been pretty nice the last week or so. We've been able to sit outside at night. The temperature's gotten down. It's making me feel like football weather. It's unbelievable, man.
It's getting there. I've spent the last 6 days standing on a boat. So even though the temperature's not been too bad, the sunlight has been a killer.
Yeah. That's a lot of sun, a lot of sunscreen.
Yes.
So we haven't talked to anybody, at least out in podcast land, since the draft.
Right.
And we've had many camps. Preseason action has started. What have you been doing all summer? Anything fun?
Watching baseball.
Yeah.
I have an 18-month-old who will only watch baseball. Yeah. If baseball's not on, he's asking you why it's not on. we watch, tomorrow morning during breakfast, he'll be watching the Cardinals game from tonight. So shout out to the MLB package. But the fact that all of those games go up as soon as they're finished for replay, the dude walks in the house and just goes over to the TV and just points at it and goes, baseball?
Yeah.
And so yeah, I have been watching I've never watched this many of non-Cardinals games in my entire life. All we did, we sit around and just, if you get home at, 5 o'clock in the afternoon and there's already a game on, I'll just put that on. So it's a lot of just East Coast, like late afternoon games where we're just watching Baltimore play somebody or something like that. It's all that and trying to play outside.
Oh, that's fantastic.
How'd your summer work out?
Very well. I moved my youngest to college. Now I got 2 Tigers. Yeah.
And on the same campus.
Yeah, on the same.
What a way to get that worked out.
We could definitely have an entire podcast episode about how that's going so far one weekend. the first night, second night, we get this video at like 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, why is there so many people in his dorm room when I wake up at 6 a.m. to go to work? I'm like, all right, well, he's having fun.
Hey, look, you can go there and hide in your room or make yourself some friends.
Yep.
Have a party.
Yeah. Right off the bat. I mean, so it's been a fun summer. But I'm ready for football, man. And we're gonna kind of come back. The Syndicate's gonna be on twice a week this football season.
Yes.
Twice a week. And so the big thing is we want you to join us on Monday nights. We're going to go live on the first half of games. Brandon, what are we going to talk about?
We're going to talk about what happened the previous week. We're going to do a recap. We're going to talk about there's some announcements that we're going to make. There's a platform that Sandman Sports is going to make public that we're going to be able to talk about the way that these games matched up to what the market was. So, when we give you picks and stuff on Thursday and say, here's where we're leaning towards, we're going to come back on Monday and go, here's how the weekend, and give you guys a fast recap of what was important in college and then how the NFL went.
Yeah. It's going to be live. We're going to go live on Facebook. It's not going to be a recording. You're not going to get it days later. We're going to go live. We're going to watch some of the first half of the game. We'll be better than the Manning cast, so join us.
Yes, we'll have guests. Just the same.
We will have guests. Our guests are better. We're gonna have.
They'll be slightly less famous, but they'll be better.
Yes, if we get lucky, we might have the Sandman himself. Maybe the Beer Meister, Mr. Beerman, will join us. We're gonna have some local celebrities, friends of ours, join us up. And if we get really good by the end of the season, maybe one of the Mannings can join.
Right. By one of their off weeks.
Yes, because
See,
they don't have
see if we
anything
can get
else.
Eli to join us.
Yeah, that'd be great.
No, no. Yeah, so that'll be exciting. I'm amped to do a recap that quick.
Yeah.
We've done the last couple of years where, hey, let's, kind of do a short recap, but get to just looking forward. And it kind of skips over some of the stuff that we do early in the week to look back at what the games were in the context of, once we get a couple of weeks in, it won't just be looking back at the last week's game, but it'll be looking at it in the context of the entire season and, be able to set us up to just hit the ground running on Thursdays and talk about what's coming up the next weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are going to be one of the top shows on Sandman on the page. They are the Sandman boys are going to do their recording. They're going to give a couple quick hits. They're stone cold locks. But I think
Yeah.
most of the recordings will come out of the St. Louis Syndicate. So I'm going to say that we're sponsored by Sandman Sports, even though nobody sent us anything for, my swag wall that I keep pointing over here going, Eric, where's my thing? I keep thinking I'd love to be sponsored by Sandman Sports and have this thing here. So, it's still available. We'll see if they do that. So, if anybody out there wants to sponsor us, we like Corona. They're a good sponsor. Basil Hayden, we definitely like that. Brandon's probably got some in his glass right now. So any of you
I do.
sponsors out there that
was a good guess.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, well, it's either that or Angels Envy. We would sponsor either. If they came in and wanted to support.
Absolutely.
And being from St. Louis, Anheuser-Busch, is always, I can definitely drink a beer during the podcast. I know that those Kelsey guys, man, they drink that garage beer. I think it's time for some St. Louis vibes right here. Some Budweiser.
Budweiser's way better.
Yeah, get some Budweiser in here. So, anyway, we digress. That's our commercial period. Brandon, today is today's college football. Most of you guys are used to hearing us talk about the NFL. We're going to talk a little bit about college. We're probably not as in depth with player details as we are.
No.
And I think that's going to be our caveat up front. But the top 25 polls are out. The APs come out with their version. And actually, Brandon, there's a whole bunch of people who have polls out. There's coaches polls, CBS polls, RJ Young, Joel Klatt, Yahoo, Athlon, Josh Pale, On3, Crane and Cone, Sporting News, Sports Illustrated, Bleacher Report, Blitz Media, ESPN, FPI, VSiN Top 50. I can go on. Everybody has got a top 25.
Everybody put something together for us.
And so what did we do? Well, we went out and looked at everybody's and decided to build a consensus of everybody's. And see what the average is. What is everybody talking about? Who's the consensus come down to? And I've listened to a few podcasts. I've done a little research, Brandon, and there are 7 teams. I bet you can name the 7 teams without even having to look at the piece of paper that I put in front of you. I bet you could.
I could probably get pretty close.
That are your top 7. Let's see. You go.
So Ohio State, Oregon,
Yep.
Notre Dame,
Yep.
Indiana,
Yep.
Miami.
Yep.
5, right?
Yep. You got 2 more.
So then we probably get down to the SEC, right?
Uh-huh.
Probably talking Georgia.
Yep.
And man, who's the top now? We put LSU up there?
No, you missed.
No, Texas. Here's one of the problems with Texas, right? We can jump off right here.
Yeah, right here.
If we go back to a year ago,
yep,
we had a conversation about, what was going to happen week 1 between Texas and Ohio State, and how, Arch was going to start his Heisman campaign in the shoe. And then they got blasted.
Yeah.
And then slowly built themselves back.
Yeah.
And for me, it's one of those hard ones to go, okay, are we going to start off hot? Was it because Arch was young? Or was it, hey, we get a slow start? So that's one of those ones that they still are kind of on the cusp for me, even though they ended the season awfully strong, and the market just went right back and said, we think they're gonna grow from the end of the season forward. And I'm still on the fence about that.
Yeah.
I think Arch is going to be the guy that everybody wants him to be. Whether it's because we will him there or because he is elite, I think he did enough at the end of last year, and this team is enough of a team that he's got himself set up to go number one at this point.
Yeah.
He would have to have a disastrous year,
Yeah.
but I don't know if that means the team then is, competing for the SEC championship.
So I agree with you, and I agree with the Ohio State story is critical, and we get part two this year. The only difference is that Texas plays Texas State in week one, and they have Ohio State coming into Austin in week two.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's gonna tell a lot, right? We're gonna talk about it probably in one of the pods, but that's gonna be a very critical development point. And if Arch can't bounce through that with this team after having a game under their belt, it's not like it's gonna be the first game. It's gonna be their second game of the season. If he cannot bounce back and beat Ohio State, there's going to be red flags thrown up that, yeah, he'll compete against Texas El Paso, and he'll compete. He's going to do fine against Tennessee and Oklahoma and Florida, and he'll compete. But what's it like when he has to play number one, number two, number three? He's not getting it done. And will that cause draft impact later? Probably not. He's still a blue blood.
No.
But
yeah. It's a very interesting thing looking at their schedule here, because it absolutely is set up to be a hook all year. Win or lose at Ohio State, you then have 9 straight games that they should win. And then depending on what Texas A&M is at the end of the year, you go, we should be going into the last game of the year going like, maybe we're undefeated, maybe we've only lost one game, and we've slowly built back from whatever. Like, there is a minuscule chance that Ohio State comes down to Texas and they just beat the brakes off of Ohio State. Ohio State doesn't have a defense like that.
Right.
You usually don't just beat the brakes off of Ohio State.
No,
so whether they win by a little, they lose by a little, or I guess technically they could get rocked in their home stadium. But whatever it is, you're then going to build from there for the rest of the season.
So,
and
on Texas, here's something that's interesting, though. You could actually lose 3 games if you're Texas and still make the playoff, though. If you
look, that's the
in Texas A&M, and then
that's the whole pivot point of this entire season, right? Are these 3 lost teams going to be able to build the resume necessary to get themselves over the hump?
Yeah.
When you look at these and you go, hey, we have some teams that are built in here where their win-loss or their over-under is a number that intrinsically says, hey, we should probably lose 3 games, Texas being one of them, and going, so basically what you're telling me is that on average, they're going to lose those 3 games, and they are going to walk on a knife's edge for the rest of those games.
Man.
To maybe get in, right? Because if you lose 4, you're definitely cooked. If you lose 3, historically, you should be cooked, especially in a year where maybe we have some teams that don't lose any games, only lose 1 game. There's a couple of teams that are being rated by the market where, hey, maybe they go undefeated, maybe they only lose 1 game, and then Texas is hanging out here going, hey, maybe they lose 3 games.
Right.
And does that get looked at favorably just because, hey, we're at a Big Ten or an SEC school? Do we get carried forward? it kind of remains to be seen. You leave it up to the judges at that point to go, what's the storyline that we want to carry forward?
Okay. So here's what's interesting. Right. And this is so I'm gonna bounce through. So you just spoke about a very critical point in what we're dealing with here, and we're an SEC country, right? Mizzou land is SEC
Oh,
country. There's
yeah.
a chance that all SEC schools will have that are in contention for this will have 3 losses outside of maybe one. Maybe Georgia only has 2. Yeah, but you're looking at Alabama, you're looking at Texas, you're looking at these schools going, they could all have 3 losses beating up on each other. Ole Miss, um, and their losses though are going to be considered quality losses. Here's Oregon's schedule: Boise State, Oklahoma State, Portland State, USC top 14, UCLA, Nebraska, Illinois, Northwestern, nobody's ranked yet, Ohio State, Michigan State, and Washington. By the end of the season, Washington may be out of the top 25. By the end of the season, Michigan may be out of the top 25. They potentially only
Yeah.
play 2 teams in the top 25. Texas has to play 6.
Yeah. No, it's a great point. I think that the only issue that we run into with that is the push and the pull of the consensus wanting to say you win the games that are in front of you, and that's what it should be.
Yeah,
Now, you're right. When you get 3/4 of the way into the season and everybody's got 2 losses, well, then it's coin flip.
yeah,
But if you go, hey, there's 1 or 2 teams from the Big Ten and from the SEC that are undefeated, or maybe lost one, maybe the top team's undefeated, the next team down's one back, and you have, 4 teams pull away from everybody else, it starts making those other games look a little bit different. Yeah, if everybody beats up on everybody loses a couple of games, well then it's a toss up. But if we have some people pull away, it starts making it easier to make the argument against these teams that are going, yeah, we can take 2, 3 losses and we can make it.
yeah,
Like maybe you
yeah,
can. Probably you will. Probably the teams from the Big Ten and the SEC that have a couple of extra losses will make it through. But it seems like everything's being priced as it's a certainty,
that's right.
and I don't think that's the case.
No, not at all. And the pricing is important in this. I have some pricing models I can pull up for us. We are a betting show. We talk about what pricing looks like and how that's going to go. Right now, we were talking about Oregon. They're a minus 320 for the college football playoffs. And Texas is a minus 200. So, think about that.
Yeah, so a team with a schedule like that, paying minus money, it's just, yeah, everything's already priced into the number.
Yep. It's all
Is
priced
the
in.
issue is that you can go, hey, I believe that Texas is going to go do the thing, but you're just believing the same thing that everybody else believes already. You got to find ones where you go, hey, this is what doesn't make sense. And I feel like I have some numbers, something to support this idea.
Yeah.
For me, it's Indiana, right?
Okay. All
That
right.
I go, we've talked about for years kind of our consensus, especially around the NFL, right? Because that's the thing that we know more granularly is leadership matters, a
Oh,
structure matters, institutional control matters, being there before matters, acting as if, all that stuff that comes down to the player level.
yeah.
If Indiana doesn't have that, then we've been hoodwinked
Right.
for a couple of years. Like, but one of the things that I'm the most certain about is that Cignetti has a philosophy for coaching a team, and he is comfortable instilling that philosophy in the people that he recruits.
Yes.
Injuries happen. Maybe you get out there and some people get hurt, and then your season just flows away because maybe they don't have the depth. But if you go, hey, right now, they are marketing Indiana as if they had Cam Newton leave as quarterback.
Yeah.
Mendoza might be a perfectly good quarterback. He might be the next coming of Tom Brady. It doesn't change the fact that they didn't win the national title because Mendoza was there. He was a piece of it. He led the team. He made the play at the end, but it was a team effort. And the fact that we're not going, they are a co-favorite even
Right.
for the championship is crazy because unless somebody that really knows the X's and O's can tell me, well, no, they just didn't get recruits in this section and this section. Like, okay, maybe,
Yeah.
but they got a guy. A guy is going to be standing there playing that position, and Cignetti is going to have him ready to play football.
Yes.
So that's the one where I look at the number and go, oh, this is low. This is not really, this isn't pricing in all of reality. So that's the one that jumps off the page to me. Do you have one? Did I steal yours?
Well, you didn't really steal it. I think that I'm more interested to see what happens. I think the top seven. The reason why I brought the top seven up is because I think that they are the top seven.
Yeah.
I think that Ohio State and Indiana and Oregon are all quality caliber teams for the top seven. I think Notre Dame belongs there. Notre Dame's priced at a minus 800. Good God, they're in their consensus 3 and Pitt minus
They're a lock.
800, and so they're a lock to get there. All they've got to do is show up and let the other team fall over. Um, I Texas. I'm not 100% sold on a 3-loss Texas team getting in. I think a 3-loss Georgia team has a lot stronger case. But I do think that they being the perennial powers of college football, ESPN, the people who want to put on TV, they're interested in Arch Manning being on TV. So
For sure. Yeah.
I think that a close, 3-win Texas team is going to put Arch in the playoffs.
That is a fair point
Uh-huh.
because it's still a group of people sitting down and trying to build an entertainment
Yeah,
apparatus.
yeah, absolutely.
We want 20 million people sitting down and watching these games. So that's a great point
Yeah,
in the direction of
I think if it's a
them kind of being in that top tier.
I think it's a 2-loss BYU or a 3-loss Texas. You're taking Texas every time.
Unfortunately, that might BYU specifically kind of jumps off the page to me. Probably does to you too, since it's the only real team that your team's playing against.
I mean,
You just look halfway down, Notre Dame's schedule. Clearly, when they give them 11 and a half game
come
over
on.
under,
Mizzou
they're
plays all
picking.
kinds of tough teams. We ain't got Texas this year.
No, you'll have nobody. You'll have nobody except for BYU, unless somebody's really into SMU.
Right.
You got one clear game, October 17th at BYU, also, and that's kind of going to be the whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah.
You know,
If they lose that game, is Notre Dame out? They don't. A 1-loss Notre Dame can't make the playoffs.
No. Here's the thing, and I would need to do a little bit of research to remember all the machinations. But I remember last year there being talk about, because of the structure of the CFP, that Notre Dame is basically locked into making the CFP because of their non-conference affiliation and national identity and all of that sort of stuff, that like the weights that the that the group puts on those things that they're basically locked into outside of like a truly horrific year that they're probably going to make it through and at least have a shot at something.
Yeah.
So I think that that's part of what prices into that 800
Yeah.
is they would need to completely fall apart. Um, but who knows? You guys are famous for one of the first 3 weeks it being a field goal one way or the other.
Oh, terrible. It happens all the time, and it just breaks your heart because you're so
Yeah.
good, and then that shit happens. Well, we'll see. CJ Carr's poised to have a big year. He's not listed in the short Heisman list, but I think he'll have conversations. If he comes out and puts out massive numbers, it's hard to keep somebody from Notre Dame out of that conversation.
Especially if you're tracking towards going undefeated.
He's got to throw some touchdowns. I mean, something good's going to happen. And his defense that he's playing against is not going to be all that elite. But I think one that jumps off the page, Brandon, we probably need to talk about is this Texas Tech thing. How does Texas Tech have such a horrendous offseason? All this quarterback nonsense, everything that's going on, and they're minus 200. And there's some good stats behind this, too. They're a minus 200 to make the college football playoff. And a lot of pundits have them picked high. What is the infatuation with Texas Tech in terms of the consensus? I mean, it's unbelievable. Their model average that we have here is 9.6 wins. But their win totals at 10.5 and minus 200 to make the college football playoffs. That's insane.
My best guess is that it's the schedule.
Okay.
Right? That when you look at the schedule, it's easier than Notre Dame's. I'll tell you that. Right now, the only game they have against a ranked opponent is Houston.
Wow, yeah.
So while I could be befuddled by at my age, the level of indignation and shame that I would have if I was Texas Tech and I tried to get a known cheater authorized through the court to come play for my team.
Yeah.
Clearly, the market doesn't think that those adults that did that are going to have any lingering effect from staining their public identity for the rest of their life.
Right.
In my mind. And in a lot of people that can't, I get it. Everybody kind of looks at college football differently now. You kind of get shamed into it if, you're the national media. And then a lot of people just have the opinion that hey, this is how this should have went down. And there should be way more power. But at the point where a guy's cheating, he broke the number one rule in sports, the thing that stops this from completely coming apart, and then tried to just move forward. How it doesn't hang over a team, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe they just wax this powder puff schedule and they get to the end of the year and they've lost one game and then they're through. I mean, that's I think how you get to minus 200.
And nobody's going to be talking.
But I do think that this happened so far in the past that it's not going to get brought up a bunch. I don't know. Maybe you never know what reporters can come up with. Maybe there's some more shenanigans. They're waiting for week one to make news over, so that it ends up being on the front page. I don't know, but
they are loaded with
shenanigans. I don't know. Where's your head at with it?
Well, I just think it's interesting because when we've just been running down and talking about the lines here, there are 4 teams ranked ahead of them. Texas A&M, Oklahoma, LSU, and Ole Miss. LSU and Ole Miss, that's a whole other conversation we need to have. But
yeah,
those teams are respectively plus 154, plus 210, plus 160, and plus 200, while the 12th ranked Texas Tech is minus 200. So that is what's fascinating to me. So that this is where we tend to talk and lean back on, well, what's Vegas say, right? And we, as a sports gambling podcast, we talk about what's Vegas say a lot. How's the line moving? How's it going? Vegas clearly thinks that there's going to be the shenanigans are going to be unimpactful, and that the schedule is so weak that they're going to wax them and they're march right in. I
Yeah.
clearly think that Vegas has drawn their line in the sand out there in that Vegas sand and said they're going to make it ahead of those other teams. Now you can rank them wherever you want in the preseason rankings, but our number odds are going to say Texas Tech's in. And if you're better,
Well, and
there you go.
it's that all automatic qualifier, right? That like when you look at the Big 12 and you go, who else are you picking? BYU jumps off the page to me.
Yeah.
I kind of like where that's headed. Maybe it comes to fruition, maybe it doesn't. BYU kind of has a history of like making it a little bit up the hill and then just kind of fading at the end of the year. But like, you know, they've they're there, but that's kind of you're kind of standing in your own as a Big 12 team that like, yeah, you could technically just win your way through this with a second tier quarterback, a guy that wasn't supposed to start this year. And maybe it doesn't matter. But to me, I just go, it's some bad juju all over this with what they tried to pull. And you just go, hey, when you try to take a shortcut, it seems like this doesn't you go ask Texas A&M about just going, what if we give $100 million to Jimbo Fisher and just, hey, that'll fix everything. And then you write a $70 million check 6 months later. Like maybe there's no impact to trying to take the shortcut, but if it starts going sideways, you can go, well, this was kind of because you guys got out over your skis there.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Um so we're gonna see, right? That's one we'll follow throughout the year. We'll kind of talk about it, but
Oh yeah.
at the end of the day, that's going to be more of a monitoring situation than it's going to be the end of the season before we get anything out of Texas Tech other than them just whipping up on some weak teams.
Yeah.
Ole
That's for
Miss,
sure.
little controversy at Ole Miss, right? They're a pretty controversial team.
Uh-huh.
What's that coach's name? Golden, I think's his name.
Yeah.
He should be at Notre Dame,
Yeah.
probably.
Matt Golden,
Golden.
right?
Yeah, Golden should
Yeah.
be at Notre Dame. And we've got the LSU angle and all the nonsense that Lane's been doing over at LSU, but I think Ole Miss, it's kind of interesting how, I was looking at some of their stuff. They're consensus 11 overall. Our model says they're 13, right? So when you look at all the different polls combined, they've actually brought them down a little bit. Some of them have them ranked, as low as 16. Some have them ranked as low as 24. But their win total in Vegas is set at 7.5. How do you have an 11 ranked team with 7.5 as your win over under total? I mean, that doesn't
I think
feel
it's the
like,
tails,
yeah,
right? Like I think to a certain degree, unfortunately, when you talk about win totals in college, for most of the teams that you do a lot of talking about,
mm-hmm.
the tails are pretty short.
Okay,
It's like, we're going to win these 7 games, and then what are we going to do in the other 5 games?
yeah,
For almost every team that is nationally discussed, where Ole Miss, you're going, okay, we had this thing, and it kind of worked by hook or by crook. They won some games late, they made some shit happen, and then you have a train wreck at the end of the season
oh
that,
yeah,
is partially Lane's fault. It's partially Ole Miss's fault, and it's partially the way that the passage of time works. That just, hey, the portal opens here. This is what we have to do. It's a business on top of being an entertainment event. So, hey, guys have to make decisions at certain times. And that was not welcomed very well.
no,
So, you have this thing, and you have a quarterback that had to go to the courts to get his next season,
Yep.
Forced, but you changed that leadership piece. And it wasn't like, hey, they fell apart
Yeah.
in the next bowl game or CFP game. It's not like, hey, we had, Lane's, you know, the group that he went, oh, okay, you guys can stay back and run the
Yep.
team, yada, yada, yada. It's not like they let it fall apart, but now having to do it for a full year where everybody gets to go, hey, it's not going to be Lane making these decisions. And I know that everybody loves to go kick his ass on the way out the door, but the dude turned around Ole Miss.
Yeah.
So you can't go, he took us from here to up here, and then on the way out the door go like, he didn't really do nothing for us.
Yeah.
So to me, it's, hey, we've got wide tails here. Maybe they get 10 wins
Okay.
and they just skate and it's all good. But if the coaching staff stumbles, you're an injury to Trinidad away from winning 4 games.
I'm looking, trying to see where their wins are. Mississippi State is a rivalry game. I can't call that a
Yeah.
common win. Wolford,
No.
Charlotte, they should handle. That's 2. Auburn is down, but it's not easy. Louisville's 24. Louisville, gotta say it with marbles in your mouth. Louisville is 24, but that's opening weekend of the season on a Sunday night on ABC. That's where you got to think Trinidad is going to come out and try to establish himself as the Heisman candidate there. So we're going to go win-win. They head into LSU, and it's the big rematch, right?
Yeah.
They should both be 2-0 headed in. Game day will probably be there. Leadership of, Ed Aragano and Lane.
Yeah.
And all these guys that he's brought in from everywhere. Will they have gelled by then? Probably. I mean, I hate to say it, but if I'm betting right now, I don't have a line or anything. If I'm just going to pick a favorite, it's got to be LSU, doesn't it? I mean,
to me it does. Like, I get it. They get to be at home. LSU's got to come to their house, but you have teams going in opposite directions. However you want to look at it, that like, hey, maybe LSU has one more in them.
Yeah.
I don't see them at the very least. If you went, where are these two programs going? Ole Miss is gonna have to reload after this year.
Yeah.
You got to have another quarterback waiting, and now that quarterback's going to be brought in by your new coaching staff. So maybe they go out, they recruit, they can keep it rolling. But more often than not, you got to take a step back. You got to get yourself settled, and start building up again. And LSU is paying everybody as if they better hit the ground running.
Yeah.
So this is going to get real squirrely if week 3 Lane gets kicked in his nuts, because
how fun would that be?
All those guys from Louisiana are not going to be super tolerant of that.
No.
So, it's one of those that you go like, hey, which way am I going to go? I got to lean the direction of LSU.
Yeah.
That like, this is how this usually works. You have a guy, regardless of how you think he left Ole Miss, he seems like he has finally stabilized himself.
Yeah.
That almost every team change has been like this tumble. Hey, I kind of screwed this thing up, so now I'm going to jump over there. Whereas this seemed like the first one that was kind of, hey, I got up here and then I took a step up to the next team. And I think that way more than the odds are laying out here right now, LSU should put Ole Miss in its place below them. And then it's going to be a couple of weeks before Ole Miss has a shot to start climbing back up if they can.
Yeah. It's if
Mizzou's won a bunch of games, like that'll be a serious game, and then they've got Texas.
Yeah.
Halfway through the season. That like, who knows what Missouri is going to be? But
they go Auburn and then Georgia and Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
This is not 7-win schedule.
It is if they are the team they were last year.
Oh, but this is
They have to be the
wrong
team they
year.
were last year.
Wrong year.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Yeah, this just to me, it seems like it is baking stuff in that hasn't been even hinted at yet.
All right, here, let me throw this at you, okay? I was just doing as we were researching for the show, I pulled up, I said, show me some of the top players in the nation that are potential preseason All-Americans. Give me a list of 10. All right, you ready for this?
Yeah.
4 of them are from Ole Miss of the 10. So
That's
Trinidad
interesting.
Chambliss, dual threat quarterback, Heisman favorite. Kawan
Yeah.
Lacey, running back, explosive
Uh-huh.
runner, expectedly the SEC. Sertain Perkins, hybrid defender capable of changing games, elite edge linebacker. And Will Eccles, offensive lineman, widely viewed as the country's premier offensive lineman. So they potentially have the best offensive lineman, quarterback, and running back on their roster. Does that change anything for you? Or is it still
Well,
coaching and
it
leadership, which we've talked about heavily?
it that's the issue, is that yes, when you break it down like that, one of the things to make me more comfortable about laying that price for them
Mm-hmm.
would be, what year are these guys in? What games did they play previously? Like, where are we at in the comfort? Because again, we can always go back to what the story was week 1 of last year.
Mm-hmm.
It was, how many Heisman trophies is Arch Manning going to win? And you go, look, we all stand here going, we have to project in some fashion. We got to pick a thing and go, hey, this is the way I'm going to project forward, and then I'm going to talk about it. So it's not like, oh, these people that make these projections, but it's so volatile in college because there's so many things that could change for any of these players. Their health, their personal situation, their financial
Oh, yeah.
situation, their family. Like, when you can go like, oh no, I'm an employee now. I'm getting paid, but you're still 22 years old. You're in college. You haven't went and got your first real job yet. Like,
You get 20 people in your dorm room.
yeah. You or your roommate maybe having parties. Or like there's all of that stuff to it that goes, hey, there is pure talent that sometimes just wins through. You got Johnny Manziel, who just, hey, I'm gonna be hungover or still drunk, and I'm gonna go beat Bama. Like, there's certain people that are just that talented that it doesn't matter, and they get a little luck on their side. But when you go, hey, we've got this core of guys. Hey, and if everybody plays up to their potential, then yeah, that's how you get up over your 7.5. But if any one of those guys just doesn't pan out this year because the leadership's different, because the input, because what people are teaching them is different, it erodes so quickly. Like, it's so different than NFL, where a guy usually is only going one direction until they run out of talent. Like, they get too old, they get too injured, they get whatever, and they start to decline. The rest of the guys, you're building up,
Yeah.
because hey, you've reached your full growth as a human, and now you're just getting better at your craft. But I just, if this schedule pans out like the kind of team that goes, hey, they are like a 7 or 8 win team, and that means we're not going to the CFP,
Yep.
probably. So like, hey, you may be able to get your over. But if you're talking about, is this going to be one of the 12 teams that we're having a battle about in the winter? You probably taking a step back.
Yeah. So, I mean, we talked like there's some teams that might just fall out of this thing, and I think they're a high candidate for that, even though they've got all that talent on the board. We'll see how that
Yeah,
goes. We may be completely wrong. They may
yeah.
be in the top two, but in case you're curious, before we wrap up, Brandon, we got a couple more topics to cover. But if you wanted to go see Old Miss play, you could go see them at Old Miss against Charlotte for $43. Next week, though, against LSU, it's $572 for a nosebleed. So
I always wonder how exactly accurate I see them all the time
I know,
because they differ so wildly. I haven't thought about clicking through and going like, what site are we using, and like
yeah,
what tickets are out there, because sometimes you get those games and it's like, hey, you get tickets for $2, and you're like, that's insane.
yeah,
Like, you're basically just charging people so that homeless people aren't wandering into your stadium.
it's completely insane. So, but anyway, as we go, so one thing to wrap up here. So one of the things that's kind of as homers, the Mizzou Tiger thing. They came in ranked 25. They may not be super deserving of that ranking. They do have a nice quarterback in Simmons who came from Old Miss. Um, but how do you feel about these teams down in the bottom half, right? And I mean by this is you got Tennessee in the 20 range. You've got Utah at 21, Iowa at 22. Is Iowa a perennial 22 team every single year? Houston at 23, Louisville at 24, and Mizzou at 25. The consensus doesn't even have Florida in there, even though
No,
some individual spots like VSiN, ESPN have Florida sitting in the 18 hole. So it's pretty interesting that when you get below that 15, 17 number, it's kind of a crapshoot. Do you have any favorites that maybe those guys shouldn't be in there that are on the consensus? And is anybody that maybe is not on that list that you'd like to see listed? First man out kind
I'll
of.
to the Mizzou point, I do think, unfortunately, I don't know if it's because getting burnt by us continuously trudging up the rankings to like the first big game in the season and then just getting absolutely blown apart in the first quarter. But I definitely go like, I feel like we're kind of here just on air. Just they went like, hey, we need, and look, we've had a successful run game. One could say that last year, outside of the quarterback injuries, we're in a much better spot, and that we almost won some games with the beat up quarterbacks and some quarterbacks down the depth chart. But I find it hard to believe that Mizzou's the 25th best team myself. Um, as it stands today,
As it stands today,
you know,
yeah. Now that could be some
but
SEC bias in there. Their schedule is interesting. They play a 25th best team schedule. I mean, Kansas will be
yeah,
they got a couple of junk teams, right? Arkansas, Pine Bluff, and Troy. Troy's no slouch, to be fair. That's not going to
no,
be an easy game.
they're
Uh,
not really in the league with Mizzou, but like for the teams that usually play, it's
yeah,
a solid team.
Kansas is fine, good, solid team to play.
Yeah.
But then they run down this path of A&M and Old Miss and Texas and Georgia and Oklahoma. And that just feels like an easy 5 losses, even though they probably will win one of them. So that puts if they win at Kansas, which they should, but 1, 2, 3, 4, that's saying they beat Florida at home 5, Arkansas 6. Well, that's what Kentucky 7. I mean, their over unders only 6.5. I mean, if you're the 25th ranked team and you've got that kind of schedule, don't you have to win the games that are not named
You'd
Texas?
say so. Yeah, you'd say, but it's just historically, these last couple of years, we've seen the highs, but they can't sustain them.
They can't.
And like, look, I fully believe that eventually they will get over the hump and they'll start sustaining them. I just don't know if this year is the hump. Like it doesn't feel like it from a schedule standpoint. It doesn't feel like from a recruiting class projection standpoint. So like them, and then Clemson just messes me up, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're first out on the AP side, on the coaches poll side, they're 23. And I just go, I don't know that Dabo is interested in adjusting the way that you would need to adjust to become successful again. Like it's the same thing that we're seeing with some of these other guys. You got Bill going to UNC. You had Pete Carroll going down to Vegas last year. You've got Harbaugh going up to the Giants this year. You have these older coaches that kind of were very successful in a spot, wore their welcome out, and then went, hey, we're going to go a new place, and we're just going to do the same thing and get spanked.
Yeah.
Belichick did it last year. Pete did it last year. We got Dabo still in the same spot, but not singing from the rooftops that, hey, I decided to make a change.
Yeah.
It was, I'm going to do the thing I'm doing. It's seemingly. Now, maybe he's sneaky. Maybe they'll kick off this year and, hey, we made enough adjustments. But it seems like we're going to do the same thing we did last year.
Yeah, I don't trust them. Not at all.
Like they'll win some fun games. They'll lose some absolutely stupid games, and they'll have no shot.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And like that's what it would be. One of the ones that, might just be my little thing, but I always enjoy Iowa, right? I like defense. I like dudes hitting people. They've never had the offense. It's always been the joke.
Right.
Hey, you take an Iowa game, take the under. Like, this shit's a lock. I've heard some people start talking that Iowa has a little bit of an offense this year.
Kirk.
So I'm interested. They're there at the back of the 25. I'm gonna have some fun if they're all of a sudden they got some offense.
Plus
So
900.
that's one
Plus
that
900.
jumps out to me, that like maybe they go on a little run. Maybe they can win some games.
Let's see.
Their schedule isn't crazy.
7.5's the win
Do they?
total.
Yeah, they've got Iowa or Ohio. They got Ohio State, and they got Michigan. And they got Washington, and then everybody else is unranked. Like, Iowa State's obviously always a big game with them,
Oh, yeah.
but like, I can't imagine beating Ohio State. But like the way Michigan and Washington have been playing, like maybe you can do it, maybe you can't.
Yeah.
You win one of those games, you lose the other one. You get by with a 2-loss schedule. You play hard in the other games. Maybe you're there in the mix
You could
when it comes down to the end of the year.
And
It's an outside shot, but with somebody that's at 22, you don't have a lot of outside shots at 22.
I mean, you got you got Murderers Row, September 26th, October 3rd, and October 9th. You got to go Michigan,
Yeah.
Ohio State, and Washington. And then other than that, you're okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you avoid Penn State,
If you
avoid
can,
Oregon, you avoid Indiana.
huh?
Maybe there's a chance. Maybe I was asleep.
Yeah. I'm just, you got to take something when you get down there in that back half of the 20s range. And I'll tell you, I've been bothering you for the last week about it, but Vatek kind of jumps out at me. You start looking at people ranking people. I'm just telling you, like you start watching big groups of people that are picking games, right? And there's consensuses to it. And then you have your outliers.
Yeah.
And when somebody jumps out and goes, I like that, and nobody else does, and starts going like, oh, do you happen to be an expert in that? Maybe you are. Maybe I'm going to watch this early on in the season. So, there's been a couple of people that have kind of pointed and went like, well, what about Franklin going down to Vatek
Yeah.
and bringing in a bunch of recruits? And you go, I don't know a lot about it, but I know when chatter starts low that it's something to just kind of keep an eye on
Yeah.
and react quickly to.
Franklin, man, that thing fell apart on him. And Penn State stayed up there in the polls, and I'm not sure they deserve to be up in there either. I mean, they
No,
they lost players, and I don't feel like they recovered.
probably not. That 17 that they're starting at, or 18,
Yeah.
depending on which poll you're looking at, that's probably a bit of name recognition. But especially the way it went down, where they kind of missed one of the transfers, one of the transfer portal windows,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because of the way that they had to, rearrange their coaches. But that's one of those ones that are probably ripe to go the wrong direction out of the 25. But yeah, that Vatek one, that just kind of sticks out in my head when we were looking at all of that data, trying to pick teams, that I
Yeah.
went like, that's interesting.
Yeah,
I could tell you weren't really on the boat
I
with me
mixed
there,
that. I
but
wasn't really on board with the Vatek vibe, but you were all over the Vatek thing, so we'll see. I may
yeah,
be
I mean, we'll see here in a
eating
couple
crow
weeks.
towards middle of the year. I'm expecting when we play Guts at some point in time for you to pick Vatek and get smoked and be just pissed about it for 2 days. So
Yeah,
that'll be a good one.
guts all it's going to get me eventually with some team, and I'm going to be unduly outraged for sure.
It's just one of those things that every year
Yeah,
it's the greatest game that pisses me off that we play. So
yeah, you pick games that you feel like are a lock, and then they go wrong from like the first kickoff usually,
oh yeah.
and I just walk around my house watching it and going like, I can't believe this is happening to me for 3 hours. So yeah, there's nothing like that.
And if anybody's ever watched college football, the best way to describe Guts is to think back about 2 years ago. Was it 3 years ago? I don't know. Mizzou's undefeated going into Texas A&M, and
Oh,
I think A&M was 7-4 or something, and Mizzou is like 10-0, and I think we were down 42-0 in the first quarter.
yeah.
It's just like
No, we
watching
went
that.
to a bar. I watched it with like six people, and like the first drive happened, and then everyone went like, all right, when are we gonna leave? Like we were just like,
This is
okay.
bad.
Like it was like a knife through butter, and you were like, oh, this is how this game's gonna go. Okay, cool, cool,
Yeah,
cool, cool, cool. And like the second drive went even horribler, and
yeah.
I was like,
Horribler.
I was gonna get
Horrible.
drunk. Like, yeah, you got to think of words that don't exist for how bad they played.
It was terrible. It was unbelievable. It was horrible. I love it.
No, and that's the thing that I always go back to. My first moment was that game in the title game. What was that, like 07, 08, where we went into Oklahoma and just got waxed.
Yeah.
And you just go like, oh, okay, this is what it's going to be like being a Mizzou fan. Cool. This
Uh-huh.
is
Good
this is
stuff.
awesome.
Oh.
Yeah, like
No.
it's held up.
Yeah.
Every year since then,
Yeah. That's hadn't changed.
basketball and football.
So that's what Guts is, if you don't know. And if you're curious, check out Sandman Sports for a Guts assignment.
Yeah.
You can get in that pool. There's many pools you can get in. They've got some changes going on over there. Eric's going to come on and talk about some of the changes in the upcoming episodes, and there's a lot of good stuff that we're excited to share and be a part of. Brandon, we're getting really close. We'll probably have one recording next week to do a little preseason NFL.
Yeah.
Then we'll back into our normal schedule, and we'll be coming to you guys live with things you love, like Survivor. You're gonna love to see our weekly picks that we have for our confidence pools. We're gonna talk a little bit about what used to be what do we call that, the Sandman, the consensus, the top five,
Oh yeah, Fall City.
Fall City Super Contest.
Yeah,
So we'll talk a little bit about Super Contest. I'm not sure if that one's still offered or not, but we're going to take a look at some of those, give you all that feedback, and just talk about lines. And we're going to spend a lot more time talking about the new tool. We're going to spend a lot more time talking about how that actually impacts you in your betting game, and how they impact you in your pool. So we're going to try to bring two flavors to you each week, a recap with what the tool did, and a complete overall review of what we think's coming up, and how we're going to play it in both pools and in live betting contests. So
absolutely.
awesome.
It's gonna be a big year.
It's going to be awesome. We're looking forward to seeing you guys. Hope you enjoyed our absolutely horrible top 25 ranking breakdown. You can clearly tell we are college football fans, but we are not aficionados, but we're going to have a lot of fun with it. What we can tell you, though, if you paid attention, there were some nuggets in there for your betting pleasure. We know
Uh-huh.
we know how to pick our futures. So go check out some of those plays, some of those 6-7 win teams. I know you guys got to get a few pizza dollars out on it.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, hey, I'm Nate. He's Brandon. We're the St. Louis Syndicate. Welcome back. See you next time.
Cheers.